In the late 1800s, the Upper Peninsula had a problem. An influx of families had moved in pursuit of the mining and logging industries, and with them they had brought their small children in need of education. But teachers were few and far between, and many of them were not certified further than their own educations. So what do you do when you need to get a lot of teachers certified quickly and reliably? You make a school to teach teachers, of course.
Over the next few minutes, we hope to give you a feel for who we are, a feeling for our campus and community, our strengths and weaknesses, our history and plans for the future. We are Northern Michigan University.
Northern Michigan University was established on April 28, 1899 as the Northern State Normal School, and at the time only offered teaching certification, though it didn't take long for them to turn their sights towards something much larger. 125 years later, NMU is a flourishing university with almost 7,000 undergraduate students and over 180 majors and degree programs across 5 different academic divisions. To celebrate the 125th anniversary, we've handpicked some interesting moments in NMU's history and gathered some pictures, videos, and documents to show them off, all of which are, as always, from the stacks. In the humble beginnings of Northern State Normal School, the 32 students and 6 faculty members met for class in rented rooms in Marquette City Hall. When 20 acres of land were donated by local businessman John Longyear, the first campus was officially established. The South Wing, later renamed Longyear Hall after a fire wiped out most of the original structure in 1907, was the first building to be built. Soon after came a private dormitory, a school garden, the J.D. Pierce Training School, Peter White Science Hall, K Hall, and more. They didn't know it at the time, but many of these early buildings, K Hall especially, would become the center point of a heated debate years down the line. You see, when construction first began, the decision was made to use native Marquette sandstone. In the late 1800s, massive fires had ravaged most of Upper Peninsula towns, wiping out entire communities. It was imperative that an alternative be found for the easily combustible wood, and sandstone became the solution. The resulting buildings were gorgeous structures built to last. K Hall, originally known simply as the Administration Building, was a stunning example of one such sandstone building, and served as the center of campus until westward expansion began in the late 1950s. It was beloved by many, but unfortunately no longer exists today. In 1960, the fire marshal discovered that the balcony of the K Hall auditorium was not properly secured to the wall, leading to the structure being condemned by the state. This, combined with costs associated with renovations, led to Northern's administration opting to destroy the building and construct a new one in its place. To say that this decision was controversial would be an understatement, as it launched the greatest historical preservation debate in the history of Marquette. A committee was founded to formally protest the demolition, local newspapers were flooded with letters urging those involved to reconsider, and some even took to the Capitol to ask Michigan's legislators to step in. In the end, NMU stayed firm, and K Hall was demolished in 1972. The current administration building, COHOTUS, was constructed in its place. Though, as one iconic structure was coming to an end, another was just beginning to take shape, not too far away. The Superior Dome. If you spent any time in Marquette, you likely know it well. Believe it or not, students weren't very keen on the idea back when it was originally proposed. In 1971, NMU students said no in the vote on whether to build an all-events center. 6 years later, the administration tried and failed yet again. The costs were just too much for people to support, and it seemed the dome just wasn't meant to be. That is, until 1985.
We're very pleased to announce that the committee voted unanimously to designate Northern Michigan University as an Olympic training center.
First discussed in 1965, Marquette had spent almost 2 decades campaigning to host a year-round Olympic training facility, and in the end, the work paid off. Now in possession of much more money than they had ever anticipated, NMU was able to make their all-events center dream a reality. At 143 feet tall and 536 feet wide, the structure would be the world's largest wooden dome. It opened to the public in fall of 1991, but was fully completed in 1995, and has since been the go-to spot for everything from football games to commencement to car shows and much more. While we're here, let's shift our focus to another NMU icon, Wildcat Willie. He simply did not exist for the first half of NMU's history. When the school played its first football game against Hancock High School in 1904, they were simply known as the Teachers. It wasn't until 1935 that things began to change, when Coach Hedgecock dubbed the 2 sections of the basketball team's defense as the Cats and the Cubs. In man-to-man, you have to be quicker, and because cubs are the natural offspring of wildcats, bobcats, any kind of cat when they're younger, the man-to-man unit will be known as a cub, while members of the older, more methodical zone defense group will be known as the cats, the wildcats. The designation took hold, and the first known image of a Wildcat Willie character appeared in 1958 as part of a booklet titled Wildcat Way. In 1970, a live female bobcat named Bobby was purchased for $500 to serve as a mascot on campus, living in a designated cage behind Spooner Hall. She was fed 1 pound of raw meat a day and occasionally joined away teams at football games. Bobby's existence was a controversial topic among students and community members, as many believed that a wild animal should not be kept in a cage on school grounds for entertainment. Several attempts were made to free the animal by cutting through the cage, eventually leading to her escape. From there, the story gets kinda hazy. Some claim that Bobby was recaptured and returned to her original owners in Toronto, while others say that a bobcat was indeed captured and taken to a veterinarian, but it was a completely different animal. Oops. Current-day Wildcat Willie began to take shape in the late 80s with student Jay McQuillan, who built the foundation for the signature look and personality seen in later iterations. Today, Willie is a fully integrated mascot for the university with set standards regarding his appearance and use, and can be found at most major events representing the Wildcat name. Happy 125th birthday, NMU. I'm sure there will be plenty of history to come. Now, we only talked about 3 topics here in this video, but we have so much more about NMU and its history, so if there's anything that sparked your interest, come visit us in person at your favorite university archives, or visit us online at uplink.nmu.edu.